Have you ever poured your heart into someone and got silence in return? Have you ever sent a message, waited for a reply, and felt that quiet sting when it never came? And yet, you kept trying. You made excuses for them. You blamed yourself. You wondered if maybe you weren't interesting enough. But deep down, you knew you were fighting alone. This video is not just a story, it's a mirror. You'll hear English, you'll improve your listening. But more than that, you'll finally understand why you keep chasing people who don't care, and how to stop, because the moment you stop fighting for their love, you start learning how to speak with your own voice. So if you've been feeling stuck in your life, in your heart, in your English, this story will show you something most people never see. That language is more than words, it's identity, and your voice is waiting to be reclaimed. Let's begin. There was a moment, quiet, ordinary, almost invisible, when she finally saw it. It wasn't a dramatic explosion or a heartbreaking goodbye. It was a slow ache, the kind of realization that creeps in after years of giving too much. She noticed that the people she texted first never checked in on her. The people she cheered for never clapped when it was her turn. That day, her silence was louder than all their excuses. She remembered how hard she tried, the long messages, the birthday surprises, the hours spent listening to problems that were never reciprocated. She thought love meant effort. So she gave, and gave, and gave. But somewhere along the way, she forgot to ask herself a simple question. Are they giving anything back? Not gifts, not words, but presence, attention, respect. And that was the wound. The emotional bankruptcy. She kept investing in people who never made a deposit back. Like trying to fill a cup that had a hole at the bottom, her spirit was tired, her heart was overdrawn, but still she smiled, hoping one day they'd notice. One day they'd value her. One day, but one day never came. Just more silence, more disappointment. What hurt the most wasn't their absence, it was her own. She started to see how often she disappeared for the comfort of others. She made herself small so they could feel big. She agreed just to keep the peace. She stayed quiet so they wouldn't leave. But in doing so, she abandoned herself, one tiny self-betrayal at a time. Have you ever done that? Sacrificed your truth for someone's attention? And then, like a light flickering on in the middle of the night, the truth hit her. They weren't the problem. Her loyalty to pain was. Her belief that love required suffering, that being a good person meant being a silent one, that patience was more important than self-respect. But none of those things were true. She had confused endurance with love, and she paid for it with her peace. She looked in the mirror that night and whispered something she had never said out loud. My effort deserves reciprocity. It felt strange at first, like speaking a new language, but her voice didn't shake. It got clearer, stronger, more grounded. She realized that boundaries are not punishments. They are directions for how we want to be treated. And from now on, she would give those directions in fluent English and fluent self-worth. If you're learning English and still struggling with confidence, start here. Speak one sentence that honors your boundaries. Something like, I don't have to explain myself to be respected. Let that sentence be your practice, not just for your mouth, but for your identity. When you learn to speak with clarity in English, you start learning to speak with clarity in life. And this was just the beginning. Because the more she reclaimed her energy, the more she noticed the patterns that had kept her stuck for years. Patterns that many people never even question. Patterns disguised as loyalty or kindness. But they weren't love, they were survival. And soon she would expose them all. If you want a life full of silent pain, here's what you should do. Keep expecting people to change just because you love them. Keep believing that your kindness will wake them up. That if you give a little more, they'll finally see your worth. It's a beautiful idea, but also a dangerous one. Because people don't change with love, they change with choice. And when you tie your worth to their behavior, you're not loving. You're waiting to be rescued. If you want to stay emotionally exhausted, there's one reliable method. Give more when they give nothing. Give time, give forgiveness, give understanding, give chances. And when they don't return the same energy, blame yourself for not being enough. This is how burnout begins. Not from doing too much, but from doing too much for people who never asked how you were doing. Now, if you really want to lose yourself, here's the fastest way. Stay where you're tolerated, not appreciated. Surround yourself with people who act like your presence is optional. Laugh when they cross your boundaries. Stay quiet when they hurt you. Call it maturity or being the bigger person, but deep down, you'll start feeling smaller and smaller. Your confidence won't disappear overnight. It will just quietly dissolve. And if regret is your goal, I've got the perfect recipe. Treat breadcrumbs like a feast. Get excited about the occasional kind text, the rare moment of attention, the empty apology. Pretend that these little drops of effort are signs of love, but in reality, they're the bare minimum. A real connection feels like safety, not confusion. And if you're always wondering where you stand, you're already standing alone. You see, many people don't realize they're living inside this pattern until one day they wake up feeling like a stranger in their own life. Their energy is gone, their voice is quiet, their dreams are blurry, and their English? Stuck. Because when you're emotionally blocked, your learning gets blocked too. You can't grow when your nervous system is in survival mode. And many learners don't struggle with grammar. They struggle with emotional safety. So let's flip the script. If you want to reclaim your power, practice one sentence today. I accept reality. Not the fantasy, not the potential, the reality. And from there, write this down in English. I give to those who give back. Say it out loud. Let it feel uncomfortable. That discomfort, that's the old version of you losing control. Now ask yourself, what do I truly deserve? Not just in relationships, but in life, in English, in growth. Maybe your sentence is, I deserve connection where I don't have to beg to be seen. Or maybe it's even simpler, I deserve peace. Write your answer in English. Let that become part of your daily learning, not just vocabulary, but identity work. Because what you accept defines your future. And if you stop settling, something incredible happens. You stop trying to change other people and start changing the patterns within yourself, and that's when everything begins to shift. She was the kind of girl who tried too hard, always the first to reach out, the one who made plans, fixed problems, said sorry, even when she wasn't wrong. To the outside world, she looked strong, but inside, she was tired. Not from doing too much, but from doing everything alone. If love was a team, she was playing the whole game by herself. She would stare at her phone, rereading messages she wrote with care, and notice they replied with cold, short answers. If she stopped texting, the silence would grow. Days would pass, and no one would notice her absence. But still, she showed up. She remembered birthdays. She forgave without apologies. She stayed even when it hurt. Why? Because she believed that effort meant love. But one day, something shifted. She was scrolling through social media, and there it was, a photo. The people she used to call friends, smiling at a dinner she wasn't invited to. At first, it stung, but then something cracked open. It didn't hurt the way it used to. Instead, it awakened her. She wasn't excluded. She was finally seeing the truth. She was never really included to begin with. The next day, she did something radical. She didn't explain. She didn't argue. She didn't send a long message pouring her heart out. She just stopped. Quietly, calmly, completely. That was her goodbye, the one she never spoke out loud. If she had written it in English, maybe it would have sounded like, I'm done giving all of me to people who only give me pieces. Or simply, goodbye to the version of me who begged for love. And the funny thing is, as she walked away from those one-sided bonds, something unexpected began to grow. Her voice, her English got better, her fluency improved. She started watching videos, not just to learn words, but to find herself in the language, because when you stop fighting for people who don't care, you have more energy to fight for yourself. It didn't happen overnight. Some mornings she still felt the urge to reach out, but instead she created new rituals. She'd practice English aloud in front of the mirror. She'd journal in simple sentences. I am not invisible. I choose peace today. Her self-worth became her daily lesson. And over time, it became her second language. People in her life noticed. Her tone changed. It was firmer, yet kinder. Her eyes no longer searched for approval. They reflected self-trust. She didn't need to prove anything anymore. And when someone asked her, why don't you talk to them anymore? She just smiled and said, because I finally listened to the silence. That silence, it had taught her everything. And soon, she'd learn why the real reason we fight so hard for people who hurt us is hidden deep in our past. Here's something most people never realize. The way you love today was programmed yesterday. The need to chase people who ignore you didn't start with your last relationship. It started when you were a child, when the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally made you feel like love had to be earned. That's not drama. That's nervous system conditioning. Your brain learned early on that neglect equals connection, that being ignored meant try harder. So now, as an adult, you chase cold people. You stay in one-sided situations, hoping that if you just say the right thing, they'll finally see you. But this isn't love, and it's a loop your mind is stuck in. And every time someone withholds affection, your body thinks, this is home. Let's talk about the approval loop. You give, you overgive, and when they don't respond, you give even more. Why? Because your brain has linked effort with worth. But here's the truth. Effort doesn't define worth. You are not a better person because you overextend. You are not more lovable because you sacrifice your needs. You're just tired, exhausted from trying to be enough for people who never chose you to begin with. Here's an exercise. Right now, say out loud in English, neglect is not love. Feel how strange that sentence is in your mouth. That's because your system doesn't fully believe it yet, but it can. If you practice, try writing this sentence in your journal. My worth exists without proving it. These aren't just language exercises. They're rewiring tools. You're not just learning English, you're learning to speak to yourself differently. Now let's look at something even deeper. The abandonment replay. When someone pulls away from you, why does it feel like the world is ending? Because emotionally it is. Your inner child feels abandoned all over again. You're not reacting to today. You're reacting to every wound you never got to heal. And that's why you feel stuck, because you're not in the present. You're stuck in emotional time travel. But healing begins with separation, the separation between being alone and being rejected. They're not the same. Sometimes being alone is the most loving thing you can do. It gives your nervous system space to rest, to rewire. Say this sentence with intention. Being alone is not failure. Practice it slowly in English. It's not just grammar. It's freedom. Start a daily ritual. 5 minutes of silent English journaling. Write how you feel without judgment. Don't worry about perfect sentences. Just write like this. I felt invisible today. I wanted to be seen. And the more you name your emotions in English, the more you understand what they truly are. Naming is taming. Words give shape to wounds, and shape is what allows healing. And as you begin to see your patterns, don't blame yourself. This isn't your fault, it's your conditioning. But now that you're aware, you get to choose. Choose differently, speak differently, love differently, and soon you'll discover that the people who once triggered you no longer have that power. Did you enjoy the content and it made a difference for you? Click on Super Thanks and support our work. Some truths don't break your heart, they crack your identity. And this is one of them. Not everyone who smiles at you is safe. Some people love the version of you who sacrifices, stays quiet and never says enough. They feel powerful when you're shrinking. They feel comfortable when you're drowning, as long as it keeps them afloat. It's not cruelty, it's comfort. And it's time you saw that clearly. You kept throwing ropes to people who never asked if you were sinking. You kept pouring energy into people who never wondered how you slept at night. You called it love, but in reality it was survival, trying to earn worth through service. One-sided loyalty is romanticized in movies, but in real life it leaves you hollow. What you called kindness was often just fear of being left behind. Here's the brutal truth. Some people aren't villains. They're just emotionally limited. They don't know how to meet you where you are because they've never done their own healing. And you can't save them. Not with your love, not with your time, not with your effort. Say this in English right now. Their limits are not my destiny. Speak it like a boundary, soft but firm. Imagine your ideal environment. What does it look like? Is it loud with drama or quiet with care? Does it feel like walking on eggshells or walking into peace? Say it out loud in one English sentence. I belong where I can breathe fully. Because here's the thing, if you have to shrink to fit, it's not your space. And if they're okay watching you break, they were never your people. Letting go isn't rage, it's clarity. It's not screaming, I'm done. It's softly whispering to yourself, I deserve more. So today, speak one sentence of release in English. I no longer fight for people who wouldn't fight for me. Let your voice hear it. Let your nervous system feel it. This is how healing begins, not with drama, but with decisions. You see, every time you stop begging, you grow. Every time you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, your life expands. And that expansion, it touches everything, even your English. Suddenly your words sound stronger. Your tone becomes rooted. Why? Because your identity is no longer under negotiation. One evening, she sat down to write her next chapter. Not a fantasy, a plan. In English. Sentence 1, I want to speak with clarity. Sentence 2, I want to build my life with people who feel safe, not sharp. These weren't just goals. They were declarations of value, of vision, of voice. And that voice, it was just beginning to rise. Because the moment you stop saving people who don't want to be saved, you finally start rescuing the one person you've ignored the longest, yourself. And soon, science would confirm what she felt in her bones. Your brain isn't just a thinker, it's a listener. It listens to the patterns in your life and builds a reality around them. When you stay in emotionally cold relationships, your nervous system learns to live in tension. You wait for validation, like waiting for sunshine in winter. But when you walk away, the brain rewires, stress drops, clarity returns, peace becomes your new baseline. Think of it like this. Chasing inconsistent people is like chasing lightning. It's unpredictable. It excites your nervous system, but drains your spirit. And the worst part, your brain starts to crave the chaos. That's why walking away feels hard. Your body misses the emotional spike. But consistency, calm, kind, clear people, that's what restores your dopamine. That's what makes you feel safe again. Try this today. Take a slow, intentional breath and speak one calm sentence in English. Maybe something like, I no longer chase confusion. Feel how it lands. It's not just language, it's regulation. Every time you speak clearly, you're teaching your brain, we are safe now. That's how healing sounds. Gentle, firm, honest. You don't need grand gestures, just small wins. Celebrate one English moment today. Maybe you watched a video and understood a full sentence. Maybe you answered someone without freezing. Maybe you corrected yourself and smiled. That's a dopamine restoration ritual. Confidence is built by consistency, not chaos. The science is clear. Cold relationships cloud cognition. When your mind is stuck in emotional tension, it loses space to focus, to remember, to grow. But walk away, and your mental clarity returns like morning light. Try listening to 1 minute of slow English audio when you feel calm. Notice how much more you understand when your system isn't in panic. That's not coincidence. That's biology. The more you choose peace, the more your identity sharpens. You stop speaking just to survive. You speak to express. You don't beg for connection, you build it. Repeat this with me. I protect my peace. Say it like a boundary. Say it like a prayer. Say it like a promise to your future self. And here's something powerful. Your fluency isn't just about English. It's about nervous system safety. When you feel seen, respected, calm, your mouth opens with ease. Your vocabulary flows. Your ideas become organized. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. Your voice was never broken, it was blocked by fear. So next time someone makes you feel small, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, does this relationship create tension or calm? If the answer is tension, choose silence. Choose distance. Choose peace. Because peace doesn't make you weak, it makes you unshakable. And soon, you'll notice that your English, like your life, begins to bloom. It's something most people never expect, but it happens. The moment they stop begging for attention, their English improves, their voice sounds different, clearer, more grounded, as if the words finally belong to them, because they're no longer speaking to prove anything, they're speaking to connect. And that shift, it changes everything. When your focus moves away from emotional survival and towards self-investment, your growth accelerates. That same girl who once used her voice to apologize and over-explain now uses it to express and expand. Instead of sending long emotional texts, she answers questions with calm. Instead of hesitating in fear, she says slowly, "This is what I think." And people start to listen, not because her grammar is perfect, but because her energy is clear. Try this now. Say something simple in English, but say it with confidence. I am improving every day. Let the words come slowly. Breathe between them. Your tone matters more than your speed. Fluency isn't just about fast talking, it's about emotional clarity. When your heart is calm, your sentences flow. When you're not defending yourself, you start discovering yourself. Here's a mindset shift. Start investing the energy you use to give others back into yourself. That includes your English journey. Use that time to watch English stories that speak to your soul. Shadow one phrase a day. Journal your emotions in short English sentences. Something like, "Today I felt unseen, but I showed up for myself." These aren't study tools, they're self-worth rituals. Over time, something beautiful happens. People begin to reflect how you treat yourself. They respect your pauses. They respond to your tone. They feel your self-trust. Because language is contagious. And when your words come from peace, people want to listen. So here's a task. Speak one assertive English sentence today. Something like, "I prefer honesty over comfort." Let it feel bold. Let it stretch you. This is the self-respect effect. When you no longer tolerate emotional breadcrumbs, you start craving whole experiences, in love, in learning, in expression. And when your standards rise, so does your language. You're no longer looking for shortcuts. You're building fluency with intention because you finally believe you deserve to be heard. Now try something new. Use your English in a different environment this week. Even if it's just a comment on a video, a voice note to a friend, or a short conversation with yourself in the mirror. New voice, new room, new version of you. These are not small steps, these are identity shifts. And soon, without realizing it, you'll wake up and think, this voice, it's mine now. Not borrowed, not filtered. Just me. Fluent, free, and finally whole. But there's one final truth you'll need to face. The most important of all. "Why did I try so hard?" she whispered one night, staring at the ceiling in a dark, quiet room. The memories came flooding in. The texts she sent, the tears she wiped in secret, the long nights waiting for someone to care as deeply as she did. And then the answer came, soft but sharp, "Because I thought love was earned." That belief had shaped everything, even her voice, even her English. "I'm already enough," she said slowly. It felt awkward on her tongue, like trying on clothes that were too big, but she knew she'd grow into it. That sentence was more than grammar. It was truth, and she practiced it like a ritual, every morning, every night, until her mouth remembered it, until her nervous system believed it, until it stopped being a sentence and became a foundation. What changed me? She asked herself weeks later. Not all at once, but moment by moment. Saying no instead of okay, walking away without guilt, choosing silence instead of explaining herself to people who weren't listening. Her voice got stronger, her English got braver, and when someone asked if she was angry, she smiled and said, "No, I just chose myself." Try this now. Speak 60 seconds about your own growth in English. Don't worry about perfect grammar. Say what you've survived. Say what you've learned. Say what you're becoming. For example, I used to be afraid of speaking. I thought people would judge me, but now I know my voice matters. I'm growing, even if it's slow. I'm proud of myself. This is how you rewire the story, with your own words. "Who am I becoming?" she asked again, this time with hope in her chest. Not a perfect person, not someone who always knows what to say, but someone who values peace over approval, someone who speaks honestly, not fearfully, someone who lets go without hating. "My worth is mine," she declared, clear, steady, no explanation needed. Let that be your action. Say it with me now. My worth is mine. No one else gets to measure it, not a teacher, not a partner, not your past, not your mistakes, and certainly not the people who ignored your effort. From this point forward, your voice belongs to you. Use it wisely, use it freely. What happens next? She wondered, and the answer wasn't loud, it was simple. Freedom, clarity, self-respect, a new voice. And not just in English, in life, because once you stop fighting to be loved, you start learning how to love yourself out loud, in every sentence, every decision, every silence. Tonight, try recording a voice message, just for you. Say softly, "I choose myself." Let your ears hear it. Let your heart remember it. This is your new beginning, the end of begging, the start of becoming. And the next time you open your mouth to speak English, it won't just be language, it'll be liberation. You've just taken a journey through silence, clarity, heartbreak, and rebirth. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Will you keep fighting for people who stay silent? Will you keep shrinking your voice just to be tolerated? Or will you finally speak, not just in English but in truth? Because every sentence you say is a decision to repeat the past or to create something new. You've seen how your patterns affect not only your relationships, but your learning, your voice, your growth. So tell me in the comments, what is one English sentence you've never had the courage to say until now? Maybe it's, "I am enough." Maybe it's, "I deserve to be seen." Maybe it's something you've been waiting your whole life to speak. And now you're ready. Remember, English is not just a language, it's a doorway to the future version of you. If this video made you feel something, if it gave you clarity, peace, or just a new way to see your voice, then let's keep walking this path together. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, leave a comment, and share your truth in English. Because here, we don't just learn English, we learn how to come back to ourselves.